But moving on to the first of the part 2 questions, and this is over to Alan. And Alan, it's all about Sergio Aguero. So over to you, mate, to lead this one.
Okay. Sergio now is 2 weeks off a year since he pulled that injury at the Etihad. So it's right at the start of March 2020 when he got injured. Since then, Sergio has played just over 74 minutes football in a year. Now, in the last few games, he's been on the bench for City. And previously before that, before COVID, he was also on the bench for City and has only played around about 6 minutes football in that period when he came off the bench. Is there a reason why Pep is not putting him on the pitch as a sub?
Somebody's just asking, because I was looking and thinking,
what's different? Yeah.
Swap shirts, aren't you?
Lads, just to be clear, Alan wishes he could swap shirts with me.
Well, okay. I'm going to be really brief on it, and then I'll leave everything to you guys on it. I'm just bringing up. I mean, I posted something last night, and it was, and somebody else, one of my mates who comes to the Wembley and everything, he met down there. Dan, he mentioned something earlier, and I'm just trying to find where it is. I wish I would have brought it up earlier. But basically, somebody posted something, all this Sergio stuff last night, and this is disgraceful the way the club are treating Sergio Aguero and blah blah blah. I'm thinking, hold on a minute, what, how do you know how the club are talking? Another Twitter accounts were piling in on it and I'm like, how do you know how they're treating Sergio Aguero? Got no inside knowledge of what's been discussed and all that type of nonsense. Stop talking utter garbage, which is what basically parts of Twitter do. They just talk nonsense, absolute nonsense. And I just said, oh, that's interesting. I must have missed that one. I didn't read that on the official Man City website, that there's Sergio's not being offered a contract and blah, 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 blah. If you can post any links, that'd be appreciated. Not a reply out of all the people who were on there.
I'm just more concerned, Andy, about him getting on the pitch. His contract that'll be sorted out.
I think if Aguero is fit, and my only thing is, I've said it now for a couple of months, I think it takes Sergio 5 to 10 games to get up to speed, and that's his problem. Now, where we stand at the moment in the season is, we've got Mönchengladbach next week, and maybe he won't be fully fit for that either. Even if he starts on Sunday, so he probably won't be fully fit for that. He probably won't be fully fit for the next game, and probably 2 or 3 games after that. But if there's anybody you want on the pitch, 80% with a ball around the edge of the box or a fox in the box to score, he will get you goals regardless. He might be where he was 2-3 years ago, but he will get you. I mean, if he played every single game this season, I can guarantee you'll get 20+ goals. Guarantee.
I'm not overly concerned about it. I think he had a bad injury. Like you said, he had COVID as well. He'll come back, I'm sure, at some point in time. But like Andy said, as been proven with Sergio, he needs a few games to get into a good flow going. And really, we haven't got time for waiting for Sergio this season. No. We need to kick. We're on a fine run of form. Yeah. Why then would you stop that to introduce Sergio when there's absolutely no need to introduce him at the minute? I think if we can get through February, first game in March is United, and if we can get through that, if we've won every game after playing United, we are going to be, I don't want to say it, but pretty much home and dry in the Premier League. And then I think you might start seeing Sergio. He might play against Gladbach. I don't know. I think the concerning part is, Alan, is because he hasn't been able to play so much in the best part of a year, what are the chances of him getting a deal? And is that deal going to be satisfying to Sergio? I doubt that.
I've got my head around Sergio leaving now.
Yeah,
right?
so
at some point in the next, if it's not this year, but it's the year after, at some point he's going to go, right? I've got my head around that, and it hurts, yeah, but he's going to go. I'm more concerned about
Can I just jump in on that there for 1 minute? I mean, Aguero's going nowhere, says Alex Johnson as well, and everyone's got an opinion on about that. But there has been, and I know somebody said before, please not Messi, please not Messi, please don't mention Messi. But I'm only going to briefly mention this, and it's not a debate about Messi coming or anything. But if the rumours, City have come out and said, no, we didn't offer Aguero this contract that was in the Sun newspaper and this last season, we've never offered him a set amount of figure. But if Messi was to come to City, there's no way he'd come if Aguero wasn't here. There's no way. There is no way he would come to City and Aguero goes somewhere else. He wouldn't. I don't think he would. I think Aguero would be a massive draw for him to be with his best mate at City. And so I don't know about the things, but I think that's more about, is he going to be here and I don't want to sidetrack it. I think it's more about, is he going to be here in the summer than not. But I don't know. Ross, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Andy just mentioned what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. I actually think, and I know people don't like mentioning the word, but I think Aguero's, and I'll say pivotal because that's always a buzzword, is pivotal to the Messi deal. I think if Messi stays at Barcelona next year, Aguero will be playing at Barcelona. And I think if Messi comes to City, Aguero will be at City. And just moving away from that, why is Aguero not playing yet? I actually think Aguero, I think he's going to stay in my hearts of hearts for at least another year. And I think if you, Andy, to your point about all these rumours, if you read the actual comments from Aguero yesterday, all he's actually said is, I've not decided yet, or it's not been decided yet, but I want to keep playing football. That's the only comment he said. They've then said he's been on the edges of the team. He's been a peripheral figure. He's been injured. He's had COVID. They're the reasons he's not played. So forget that, the Sun and the Mirror and whatever, and everyone else who gets on Twitter, the keyboard warriors. I think he's then gone on to say about Pep, how great relationship, he's made me a better player. I now know more details about football. So all that him and Pep don't get on, throw that one away as well. And
it's not somebody who's been in the decline for 3-4 years. One of those players who you go, well, he only scored 6 goals this season and he only played 12 games this season. And for the last few years, I mean, this he's always injured. We know he always gets an injury every season, and it always coincides with Christmas, doesn't it? He likes his Christmas off at Man City, but yeah, and they're not necessarily true. But he does like his month or two off here and there. But can you? You only have to look at his figures.
Unbelievable.
It's still right up there when it comes to sort of, goals per games, minute ratio and things like that. So if you can get a Sergio Aguero, who, let's face it, well, put it this way, if Sergio Aguero came on the market, how many teams would be in for it? But you know that Duncan, from a journalistic point of view, is in. He does have a lot of good contacts within clubs and things when it comes to transfers and things. And but it was very interesting. I wasn't asked about the other stuff, but Haaland, people keep going, we need to get Haaland, we need to get Haaland, we need to get Haaland. Dortmund have actually come out and said basically that they will sell him this summer for €100 million. They will, because he's a player that they believe has not progressed from last season. His goals to game ratio is virtually the same, but the actual work he does off the ball has dropped significantly, and they believe there are character flaws within him, and that they're not happy with, and they would, out of all of them, they'd like to keep Sancho and they'd like to sell Haaland. And if somebody came in with 100 million this summer, they would be willing to listen to offers. The problem being, he's got Mino Raiola is involved in the whole thing as well, which is a major problem. But he is basically the rumours were Mbappe will be going to Real Madrid. That's almost like a done deal. So Haaland, Real Madrid would like Haaland, but obviously Mbappe is the #1 player. But the massive difference in wages. He's going to be the player now that those two players won't command that money anymore. But Mbappe will be the next person who'll be probably the highest paid player in world football if he does move to Madrid and they do offer him a king's ransom in wages, because he's only got a year left on his contract. So he can either stay for one more year.
I've heard Ivor wants us to get Lukaku, so maybe. That's what I've heard.
Anyway, interesting on Sergio. I still think, hey, listen, give him the game time. There's plenty of games. We've got plenty of.
On the pitch, I'll be happy to get him on the pitch, even if it's 20 minutes. Just get him on the pitch.
Yeah, I agree. We need to, because if he doesn't, he's not a player you want to throw in for 45 minutes who's not played for any minutes. He needs in his legs. But he is a player that could win the game for you in an instant. You know that he is that type of player. But interesting debate. Moving on to the next question, Chris and me it's about Kevin De Bruyne.
Well, it's again about a player on the way back, and that's Kevin. He got a few minutes against Everton. But he's coming back into a very successful side at the minute. But last night on the Tom show, there was a lot of talk about whether he deserved to get back in, and I thought that was a little bit naive, if I'm honest, with some of the comments that came up. In the fact that Kevin De Bruyne is not only the best player at Manchester City, he's probably the best player in the Premier League, if not the best player in Europe at the minute. You know, when he's fit. So I was thinking about this last night. I was thinking, and I'd like to hear you two guys, the delicious combo, your thoughts on where Kevin fits back into this side, and should he come back straight in? So I'll go to Alan.
Kevin De Bruyne if he's fit, he starts. He's a shoo-in for me. I don't care what anyone says. He plays in central midfield on the right hand side because he's right-footed. And I think whoever's in that position at the moment, it's Bernardo plays in there. And then Bernardo can play in a number of positions. We all know that. He can play on the right-hand side. He can play in central midfield on the right and left-hand side. He can play in either. You can even play him in a false nine if you need to do that. But for me, Kevin De Bruyne is probably him and Diaz are the shoe-ins in that team at the moment, where you just wouldn't not pick them. The only reason you wouldn't pick KDB is if you wanted to rest him or he was injured. But for me, Kevin De Bruyne is the best midfielder in world football. There's no one anywhere near him at the moment, so you can't afford not to pick him. What I will say to you, if he plays tomorrow, then Bernardo's the unlucky person that's going to be probably dropping out. But you can play Bernardo on the right-hand side if Sterling's not playing well. Let's face it, Sterling can have in and out game. He's never consistent. I don't care what anyone says. He's never consistent. I know that's another question we've got coming up. But it's a case of KDB plays for me. I just cannot see why you wouldn't leave him out if he's fully fit.
Down to 4 bottles. That's not good.
Oh, that's not great. We've still probably got an hour off. 55 minutes to go. So save them. Ross, I'll come back with some stats. But Ross, KDB thing, where do you stand with that?
Absolute no-brainer. Like, KDB's fit, he's in the City team, and someone misses out. It's as simple as that. Like, I just can't. Yeah, some of the comments, Chris, I just can't. Any football fan would give the right arm to have KDB in the team. You're probably going to have him at 80% fit. And a couple of years ago, we would have had, but right now we don't need to do that, which is why he didn't start the other night. Probably agree with a lot of Alan's comments, but I think because Gundo probably won't play tomorrow, Bernardo won't have to miss out. So I think it's a bit of luck there for once that a player on form is not going to miss out because he's back. Where does he fit in? I'm sure Pep just says to him, go on the pitch, to be honest. I don't think it's like Sunday League where they say, right, Pep, you're going to play on the right-hand side of a middle three. I think it's, Kev, you're amazing. You can do. I think it's all about, Pep probably says to him, you're amazing. you're a great footballer. Go and do it. I don't think and then it's about positioning and little tips that he gives him. I don't think he tells him that's where you're playing. I think all the other players in the team want him to start because he makes them better. I can't see any argument that if he's fit, he doesn't. And the one that really got me that fans I've seen on social, does he deserve to get back in?
What?
Well, I think that has led to us bringing this topic back up tonight. Was people saying that he doesn't deserve to be back in the team, and it's like,
wow,
how? I don't understand it. Hence why I did a little bit of legwork today on some stats and thinking, well, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm Kevin De Bruyne.
And the last point for me before you go on to your stats, the one stat, because I was looking at stats as well, but the one I just wanted to mention that I think he's only been involved, and this might be Chelsea games as well, in 24 losses in the Premier League, in Premier League alone, in 173 games. Yeah. So he's a winner.
Well, we've got another super chat. Thank you so much, Leg and Sweet again. I disagree. It's not fair for KDB just to walk straight back into the rest. KDB back in, rest KDB. So I mean, it is really splitting people, this thing, which is why when I was listening to people like, Leg and Sweet put a super chat there saying he don't think it's fair. I was thinking, well, okay, well, prior to his injury, even he's not been at the level of previous season or whatever. So I thought maybe that's the reason why. Maybe people think he's not reached the heights of where he was before and that type of thing. So that's why they think. So I'm thinking, well, that can only mean that all these other midfielders and wingers and everybody ahead of him have been so much better and their stats stack up so much better than Kevin De Bruyne's. That must be the reason. Or is it because of the wins? Because somebody said, well, hold on a minute, I think I said 4 wins last night. Well, Kevin De Bruyne is going to be 30 in June. We've got to remember that. He is going to be 30, which I thought it was 29, but he's going to be 30 in June. Well, in 2021, this season, Kevin De Bruyne has had 7 games out. That was his 7 games. If you include, sort of came back as a sub from the injury he got in January 2021. In 2021, he also had a muscle injury and he lost 2 games. That was in October. So you've got to remember, City have had 17 consecutive victories. So Kevin De Bruyne has missed 7 of them. So the other 10 that he played in, do they not count anymore? It's only the recent 7 that means, this team is the best because we've won 17, but the 10 before don't matter when KDB played in those 10 games. But anyway, so we've actually 17 consecutive wins and KDB's played in 10 out of the 17. So he's played in more of those than the 7 that he's been out. So I looked at the stats on games and minutes and assists and goals and things like that. Kevin De Bruyne has played 24 games. Okay. He scored 3 goals. Now you might think, it's not a great return. He's got 15 assists. 15 assists in 24 games. I mean,
he's playing in a position now.
What?
He's playing in a more forward position.
But 15 assists. What was joint record last season? Was it 20 assists in the season? He equaled the joint record. Jesus, he's just missed 7 games. He could have had 5 or 6 more on top of that. He could be breaking the record by now. 1,813 minutes he's played. Ilkay Gundogan, who's everybody's favourite player at the moment and has been rightly lauded because he's been superb. He's played 2 more games than Kevin De Bruyne. He's got 13 goals. That shows you how good and the type of position that Pep's put him in. But he's got 1 assist. He's got 1 assist out of those 26 games. He's played 1,913 minutes. So he's played 100 minutes more than Kevin De Bruyne this season. Bernardo Silva's played 28 games, so 4 games more than Kevin De Bruyne. He's got 4 goals and 4 assists. So he's got 1 goal more than Kevin De Bruyne and got 11 assists less. And he's played 2,026 minutes. So he's played nearly 200 minutes more than Kevin De Bruyne. Mahrez has played 30 games this season. He's got 7 goals and 3 assists. And he's played the same amount of minutes as Bernardo Silva, 2,026 minutes. So 200 minutes more. Foden, amazingly, I was looking at stats, 31 games Phil Foden's been involved in, 11 goals and 6 assists. And he's played more than anyone, 2,128 minutes out of all of those players who could potentially play in Kevin De Bruyne's role. So you've got Kevin De Bruyne on 24 games, 3 goals and 15 assists in all competitions. Ilkay Gundogan, 26 games, 13 goals and 1 assist. Bernardo, 28 games, 4 goals and 4 assists. Mahrez, 30 games, 7 goals and 3 assists. And Foden, 31 games and 11 goals and 6 assists. So if you're looking at it and you're a stat person and everyone else goes about, yeah, but what about this? What about the other? The player who potentially you look at on stats as contributions to assists and goals and everything else, who comes out of this team for Kevin De Bruyne is Bernardo Silva.
Yeah.
And I love Bernardo Silva, but if you want stats and assists and things like that, probably Mahrez gets in above him at the moment. And yet he's now hitting his stride and getting into some fantastic form and brilliant. And so it's not about, oh, well, you know, I just don't, I don't get it. I don't understand the argument. I just don't get it. Ross, and I will come, because I think there's been another super chat, so we'll come back to the comments now. But over to you, mate.
Andy, you've just, I think, talking about KDB, just summarised perfectly by stats. And I know some people don't agree.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big stat person, but that was the only way I could.
People's misconceptions about, like, you know, Mahrez is a great one. I think he's actually had some decent games this year, and that shows that. Yeah. Bernardo had a really slow start, but he's a fan's favourite, so he gets more of the. Phil Foden doesn't play enough games. Well, he obviously does.
Played more than any of those.
Yeah.
He's played 7 more games. He's had 320 minutes more than Kevin De Bruyne.
Exactly, but people will say, "Oh, Pep doesn't play Phil Foden."
Huh?
Yeah, I had this argument yesterday with Leo and Toby. They were criticising Pep doesn't play him, and I actually said he's played more minutes than any of our midfield, any of them. And he went, "No bullshit, it's nonsense." I went, "Yeah, you've got to check it."
Thank you, Lassie, for that. Yeah. It was when I was writing all of them down. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, I didn't think he played that many. And I thought, 31 games. It's all actual appearance time. He's the highest out of anybody. Out of De Bruyne, Gundogan, Bernardo, Mahrez, Foden has more than any of them.
But every player you mentioned there, and I was thinking this when I was watching the Everton game, we are so blessed. Like, I know some of them don't. Some of us, we have opinions on players and we don't like players. But overall, have we really, really got a bad player in our squad?
No, not a bad player. Maybe a player that might not fit.
It's amazing.
No, I'm not saying anything. Well, this is without Sergio Aguero's guaranteed so many goals per season, and if Gabby was anywhere near the level of you've got KDB on 3 goals. That's 16 goals with Ilkay. 20 goals with Bernardo, 27 with Mahrez, 34 with Foden. That's just from our midfield. I've not included Sterling in that. I've not included Gabby in that. I've not included all of any. I'm just talking about the players who generally can play around that midfield wing role, blah, 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 blah. There's 34 goals out of those players alone. I've not included Rodri or Fernandinho or, so.
I got a question, Andy.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know where this is going. I'll be honest with you. I'm looking at it thinking, I just don't understand when you've got somebody who's played 24 games and got 15 assists, playing in a slightly different role to who's played in the past, and he's scored 3 goals, and he's played hundreds of minutes less than anyone else. Why would you say he doesn't deserve to be in the team? I don't get it. I don't get that argument. Not about the arguments around why other players have been this, that, and the other. I just don't get that argument. I don't get it. But maybe that's
my point is this, right? Is did John Stones deserve to be dropped against Everton?
He wasn't dropped.
He wasn't dropped, was he?
He was rested. He was rested.
He was rested.
Because we've got
rotation.
Because Pep believes in rotation of his players.
Absolutely.
There's no way that Pep is going to play Rodri, Gundogan, and Bernardo from now until the end of the season. He's not. You're going to have these players coming in and going out and having. But people like Kevin De Bruyne and Raheem Sterling are going to get more games than anybody else. And there's and probably one of the main reasons for that is because they're on massive money compared to the rest of them. So and they're great players as well, no doubt about that. So you got rotation's a big part of Pep's philosophy. In a season where we're playing a game every 3-4 days, then there's the whole thing about deserving to be dropped or deserving to be in the team. It just seems a little bit naive and not really knowing what's happening at Manchester City, because that is not how Pep plays. There's no way John Stones should have got dropped, rested, rotated, whatever.
Not on form. Not
on form, but he did because he kept him. He wants to keep him fresh.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Legan Sweet's given another super chat. Thank you very much, mate. We will read that out. Move Bernardo Silva to the wing and put Foden in midfield with KDB. KDB and Foden play good together in the midfield. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, that is an obvious option for Pep Guardiola, mate. And I'm with that. But I do think with Chris, I think it's I don't know.
We've got a squad that we've got a plethora of midfield players and forward players that we have to rotate. So players are not getting dropped because at the moment, I would say, since probably December started, there isn't one player that's played really badly at City or totally out of form. There's not one player. No. Even Rodri's improved. Mahrez has improved, and they have. They have.
Even Rodri. Even Rodri.
I said it last week. He's the last month or so. He's played really well. He's moving the ball quicker. He's playing better.
It is a prime example. There is an absolute. I'm going to bring this up. This is a prime example. Okay. Ask yourself: have we missed him?
No.
I have.
I've not. He's been here with me. He's been staying at my house.
I mean, Andy Mills, I get your point, but it's a bit of a pointless question. Have you missed him? Well, we've won games and we have beaten big teams and things like that. But hold on a minute. Out of all of the midfield players I've just mentioned, Ilkay Gundogan's got 1 assist. Bernardo's got 4 assists. Mahrez has 3 assists. And Foden's got 6 assists. Jimmy De Bruyne channel. Right. We've got 2 more questions. We've got about 30 minutes to go. So, Ross, this is your question. And this is about Raheem Sterling.
Yeah, so I think seamless, really, guys, from what we've just spoke about. I have on social media, in pubs, on phone calls, on group chats, in football grounds, up and down the country. When will City fans appreciate Raheem Sterling? I cannot believe some of the things I hear about Raheem Sterling. Some of them off really close friends who I've been to the match with for years. I feel at times like I'm watching a different match. And I just have never seen so much negativity. And I'm going to say a lot of this, I believe, is driven by the media. And for some reason, you normally always protect your own. But I don't think City fans or some City fans have gone down the route with Raz on that. But I mean, I watched him against Everton. He was unbelievable. And if he played for any other team in the Premier League or the world, they will be talking about how lucky England are to have Raheem Sterling. What a great player is. Look at his stats. Look at how many goals he scores as not a centre forward. Look at the work rate he's got. Look at his attitude. I mean, I remember he's been pulled out in the media because he had a picture with a fan outside a pound shop, because he got on a flight, Ryanair, because he bought his mum a car. God forbid that a millionaire can buy the mum a car.
So, Chris, I'd like to see Raheem with Mahrez swap over during games more regularly, especially when their fullbacks are getting on top of us, because I think that will be more useful to us as a team. But they don't seem to do that regularly. That only happens when Foden's on the pitch. So I don't know what you think, Chris.
Listen, I have a bit of a beef with Raz ever since that Derby game when we were 2-0 up and the Rags came back to beat us 3-2 when we could have won the league that day. Because if it wasn't for Raz, right, we could have been 5-0 up at half time. Right. Yeah. And I don't know if that sometimes is something that sticks in my craw with him, because he does frustrate me as a player, right?
Yeah.
But I've got to be honest, really. He is class. He drives teams backwards.
Yeah.
He works his socks off, helping out in defence. He is a fantastic player in my eyes. And I think that he has games where you think, he's not managed to beat his man. He's not done a lot in this game. But he's a winger, and that is traditionally what wingers have, good and bad games. But Raz is a little bit more than that in my eyes. He doesn't just provide, he gets there on the end of things. He is a really good footballer, and he probably does get too much grief. And the stuff off the field is bizarre, because he just comes across as a really nice kid, a man now. He's not that young anymore. Yeah. I think all the stuff that he ever got wrote about him in the press was just ridiculous. He comes across as a genuinely decent bloke, So I don't like that about it, and I will always support him anyway, because I think he provides so much to Manchester City as a team. And I hope he stays, beyond this contract onto a next one. He's fantastic. About moving over, I prefer him on the right, Alan. That's where I prefer to see him, but I think he does a good job on the left. I just don't think he is as effective as he is on the right. But I see it as well. I think I see a couple of comments saying that don't see the Sterling sort of hate, but I've seen plenty of it. Sterling gets a lot of grief if he doesn't have a particularly great game. Why aren't we sort of talking about how poor he was when we're always slagging off Mahrez and all this sort of stuff? My point on that sort of thing is that Raz has a hell of a lot of credit in the bank. He's done a lot of Manchester City as a footballer.
Yeah.
And for me, Riyad is a 1 in 5 player. He has a great game, like he did against Everton. To me, he's not consistent enough, and that's why Riyad gets the grief he gets.
Tonight, and this is over to Alan, and this could be tasty. We've got about 10-15 minutes left, so Alan, over to you.
Okay, this is obviously controversial with a lot of people, and I know that the players, the staff at City, the board of directors and the owners all want to win the Champions League. Isn't it about time the fans got behind the players and the staff and the board and the owners at City and really went for it and have an attitude of not negativity towards the Champions League? I know that, me included, don't particularly respect UEFA. Okay, and I think that's shared throughout City fans. But don't you think it's about time we just moved this to one side and really, really got behind the players and the club to win this trophy and stop the negativity towards it? I'm not bothered, I don't particularly like it, that sort of attitude. I think we all know the club needs to win, and we need to be right behind it. And that includes when next year as well, when we're at the ground, hopefully. But everyone needs to have the right attitude. I know the attitude towards UEFA is a negative one. I agree with that, but that's got nothing to do with the club winning this trophy.
I just couldn't understand it. And then last year was totally the wrong team. We just picked the wrong team. I think we've been unlucky in some games, and we could have had a bit of a better run. Right at the start, I think we got tough draws, and we just wasn't good enough at that stage. So definitely agree with Alan. It's time we win it. But for me, then, if we win it, you've got to go and win it again.
Yeah.
But so it's a thing that other fans cling to at the moment. Oh, well, have you ever won the European Cup? No. Someone said it to me yesterday. They were going on about a player Andy mentioned earlier in the show. Oh, look at what he's doing. And I said, yeah, he's on a Thursday night, mate. Well, no one in your team's won the European Cup. Well, neither has he. You know, it's like that summit that's going to get thrown. We had it with the Premier League, or even when you're going to win something, you've not won anything for years. This is actually now the last thing that people could start. But then it'd be, well, we've won it 6 times. So you're never gonna get away from that. For me, personally, as a fan, the competition more than any other one in world football is about the money.
Yeah.
You know, introducing the comments, another 24 teams. It's like what they're doing to the Euros and the World Cup. It's just gone. It's like, and you know, I wouldn't even say it's an FA Cup for Europe, because I still think the FA Cup's got a bit more value than the.
Interesting, Chris.
Right now, I want to win the league before anything else, and probably the FA Cup before the Champions League. And I don't think I'll ever change my mind on it. You know, it isn't that long ago when we weren't even anywhere near getting to the Champions League, and it just became a complete bore. It was Manchester United against Inter Milan, Real Madrid against Bayern Munich, and it must be as boring as hell for teams who just don't have a chance. West Ham fans and people who don't have a chance of getting in the Champions League.
Yeah.
It's just a crap competition. It's just the same teams playing the same teams year on, year out. And it's just, I don't know, the Premier League is where it tells you whether you are the best team or not. I think UEFA have got something to do with it, why City fans don't like it, but I think City fans are more pissed off with all the cartel clubs and their self-interest, basically, and that's why the Champions League is what it has become. It's just about these massive clubs in Europe, including the likes of Manchester United and Real Madrid and all these, making as much money as they can. I can't stand the competition because of that. It's just, I know it's what the players want to win. I understand that, and I even understand it. I see, you know, on Twitter where a lot of fans see it as like this World Series of football, you know, because it's, you know, the best player, the best teams. It's just not. It's just not, mate. I'm never ever going to get fully behind it, because I think as a trophy, it's nothing compared to the Premier League. Absolutely nothing. And in my eyes as well, it's nothing compared to the FA Cup. Here, think that the Premier League is less worthy than the Champions League. I really don't, mate. I think that they're absolutely bang on. I think there's a lot of people who seem to think the Champions League is this extra special competition because you've got. It's just not. Most of the games are boring. You know what, they are dreadful games. I watched the Barcelona and PSG match. It's the first time I've watched a Champions League match that has involved City probably for about, I don't know, at least 10 years. Yeah. And you know what? It wasn't anything special. Mbappe played well, but you know what? Barcelona were dreadful, mate. It wasn't a good game of football. It really wasn't. And it makes me laugh as well when, like Andy's saying there, that people will support City and, I don't know, some team from Italy or some team from... you support your team. You one team, that's your sport. You don't get this sort of, oh, I love thingy over here as well. Naff, absolutely naff, mate.
I don't get it. And that's fine. I mean, everyone's entitled to their views and follow teams and whatever else. But I do think that sort of mentality, drives this thing for the Champions League. And I'm not saying it's wrong to support 2 teams or 3 teams if that's the way you want to go. That fine, do that. But I do think that mentality drives this European competition, which isn't a Champions League. It's a cup. It's a European cup competition involving a shed load of teams in home and away, throughout Europe, and then you've got the Liverpool fans going on about that World Cup club biscuit competition that they win, and it's like, only 4 teams in it.
And 3 of them we've never even heard of.
There's 4 teams in it. How do you how does that determine who the best teams in the world are when you've got some teams that you go, who?
That enjoyment as well. That enjoyment of, I remember when it was a European Cup and it's your play.
It was massive. I remember watching Notts Forest. I remember watching John Robertson and Martin O'Neill and everyone. I remember watching it because it was such a big thing. Pretty much the argument of the FA Cup used to be.
One thing I will always
make their own.
I will always thank UEFA for introducing the Fair Play League, where City got into Europe because we couldn't even foul. And I always respect.
Yeah. Well, that was when we moved to the City of Manchester Stadium, wasn't it?
I always respect them for that because I never thought I'd see City in Europe apart from watching them on the telly on my holidays. But I actually got to go to far-flung fields like Locheren and TNS. So
TNS.
I thank them for that.
And we got knocked out. Virgil van Dijk's on. Hey, we've got Virgil's on. I hope your recovery's going well, mate. The FIFA Club World Cup is an international men's association football competition organised by the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, the sport's global governing body. Fucking hell, have you ever heard such bullshit from the so-called Dipper? My lord, they're fucking delusional, aren't they? They are a cult. Well, they're a cult within a cult, aren't they? They're frightening. Absolutely.
I never knew that.
Oh, unbelievable.
What was he called? What was he called again?
He was Virgil van Dijk _era. There you go.
But what was the tournament? FIFA?
It was the FIFA recognise it, FIFA.
Someone told me the team that played Bayern Munich in that final that was on the other week, the Aussies made a big thing out of over here. I'm thinking, what the hell? Who are this team that play in a pub side? I've never even heard of it.
It's unbelievable. And they go on and they go on and they go on. It's just... John Grogan says, Bob on Andy, let me read some comments. And I could do without another game against Shakhtar. Yes, I think we could.
Anything.
If you can give it a thumbs up, that'd be really appreciated. We've had... At one point, over 130 people all giving their opinions on some really interesting topics tonight. But I want to say a massive, massive thank you to the guys for giving up their time to talk about Manchester City, club we love. So, Chris, thank you, mate.
Cheers, Andy. Nice to see you again. Nice to see the delicious duo.
Make sure you look after
your miss. Yeah, make sure you look after your missus today, Ross. No excuses, mate.
Will do, mate.
Trimmed and everything, innit?
And just to let everyone know, keep on Twitter later on. I might actually take a video or a picture of Alan buying a drink at a bar because it's never been seen before. It's I've got Attenborough there with his hidden crew, and I'm also gonna boo Alan. I'm gonna boo Alan when he walks in the pub like he's the Champions League anthem.
He's got the ears.
What you don't understand is that Ross and I knew each other before we both arrived in Melbourne. Because his missus Lucy used to work behind the bar at Middleton Cricket Club, where my father was the chairman of that cricket club. So I've known Ross well before I came first, he came after. That's how we know each other and Lucy. But there you go.
Yes, there you go. Thanks, Ross.
Thanks, guys. Hey, stay safe, guys. Always a pleasure. And don't forget to like and subscribe for the great work the guys do. And yeah, always a pleasure. Thanks, really enjoyed it, guys. I'll have one for you tonight.
Tonight,
yeah. Tonight. Because remember, we're in the future. I'm giving you tomorrow's news today.
You are. That's it. I forget that all the time, don't I?
And then me and Alan have got a phone call with Don Hutchinson, so we'll see if we get any more.
Yeah, well, give Don my best, the fucking wanker. Anyway, moving on. This is Andy from Man City Fan TV. Thank you to Alan, Ross, and for Chris. They're all superstars for coming on and spending so much time with us here, chatting garbage like we normally do. And that's just the way it is. We're just City fans and we're passionate and we have our own thoughts and opinions. But I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's put all the comments in there. Without it, it's pointless. We'd just be four guys chatting on a Skype call. So you guys have made it absolutely brilliant for us, and we do appreciate it. Don't forget, before you go, we've still got 84 people on. Just click the thumbs up button. Give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, you don't have to be a Man City fan. You can be any football fan. Come on and join us. There's loads of live stuff and everything we talk about. And you might disagree with us. You might want to wind us up and things. Well, we're happy for that. We're not young kids. We can take it, trust me. And we'll give plenty back. But anyway, take care. This is Andy from Man City Fan TV. And as usual, we'll see you soon.